Well, as my mother Barbara said, my grandma, nobody could tell a story like she could. And so in telling the story of her life, I'm fairly certain she would have had that kind gentleman up here for weeks. If she could have. So she lived a great life, and so there was a lot to tell. And so I said, she wrote her own obituary, and I'm fairly certain she'd been making changes on it for about 20 years as the years progressed down, because she didn't want to leave anybody out. She wanted to make sure everybody knew how special they were to her. Growing up, I knew my grandma Miriam as Nana, because her and my great-grandmother lived together for as long, as I could remember. And so grandma was grandma, and my grandma Miriam was Nana. So we figured out really quickly that just yelling grandma had them both come running very quickly, and that just wasn't going to work. So she became Nana for that whole time. My Nana was someone who always thought about others before she thought about herself. She rooted for the underdog, and she always had her hand extended to pull somebody else up. She grew up, during the Depression, in a time when people didn't have very much, and so she took nothing for granted in her life because of that, and that especially extended to her family. Family was the most important thing to her, and she made sure to give every bit of her love, her time, her attention, and her affection to all of us who are her family. If you ever needed anything, she would be the first person there to help you, and I'm sure many of you have witnessed that yourself. I remember staying with my grandma and my Nana as a little boy, and those are some of the best memories that I have in my life. They always made me feel very special, as if I was the most important person in the world. Nana loved food, and she loved to feed people. And as you can see, she always made sure that I was fed. When you showed up at Nana's house, the first thing she wanted to do was fix you a plate and make sure that you were fed and you were happy. I remember the big family meals prepared by Nana on the holidays as a boy, and she did love to throw a party. And nobody could put together a party like she could. Right down to the smallest details, she had to make sure it was perfect, and obviously it rubbed off on her daughter, my mother Barbara. And Mom, Nana would be proud of you. She would definitely approve of her party tonight that you put together for her. And like I said, heck, even tonight, even though she's gone, Nana provided the tablecloths for her party. So she made sure, that even in death, that she was part of the show. She was always prepared like that. It didn't matter if she only had a couple hours to plan something, she would get it done, and she would make it look amazing, and make it go off without a hitch. My Nana was known as the Rose Lady for many years because she had an amazing talent to create paper roses. And they were a hit everywhere she went. People would buy them by the dozens, but being the giving person that she was, it was quite often you would find her giving her roses away for free, especially to children. She thought, roses were such a beautiful flower, and she believed they brightened a person's day, and everybody deserved a rose. It's incredibly difficult to try to sum up the life of a person in a few paragraphs. And with someone like my Nana, it's absolutely impossible, so I won't even try. What I can tell you is that the Miriam Teller was one of the kindest, most giving souls, and despite any downfalls, she cared about people and wanted to make the world a better place. When it came to her family, there was no question she would do anything for us, and the list is too long to thank her for all that she did. There's one thing that comes to mind, though, which I will never forget, and it was what we called the pickles box. You see, there was a character in a children's book by Richard Scarry of a pig called Pickles. And Nana would put together a box of treats and foods every so often and leave it for my brother and I, and we thought that box was delivered by Pickles the pig. It was kind of like our own little Santa Claus that we had that delivered treats. And we were always excited to get that box from Pickles. But what we didn't know was that, when we were younger, times were often tight. When mom and dad couldn't always afford, to get us the best, most expensive treats. And this was one of Nana's many ways of helping us out, helping my parents out, making us feel special. And those are the kind of things that she always did, no matter what. Nana never turned anyone away. I watched her for many years take in countless strangers, feed them, clothe them, take care of them, get them back on their feet. She never did this for any kind of reward. Her reward was the smiles on the faces of those that she helped. It was because of my Nana that our family even exists. She was the one who introduced my mother to my father, and she was adamant about getting them together. And I'm sure they can tell you those stories about how hard she worked to make that happen. And I'm so glad that she did. I could honestly go on and on about my Nana for hours, if not days, but those of you who knew her knew what an amazing person she was. She lived a long, incredible life, having traveled the world, seeing some of the most beautiful places on earth. She touched more lives than I can even imagine. No matter how much time we have, it's never enough, and we always wish for one more day. There is nothing I wouldn't give to be able to see my Nana one more time and tell her that I love her and how much I appreciate her. She was a very important part of my life, and I can never thank her enough for all that she did for me. She helped to make me into the man that I am today, and I hope I've made her proud of who I am. Mom, I know how proud Nana was of you too. She would tell anyone she met about her amazing daughter and how she loved you and loved to brag about you and all that you've accomplished in your life. You were both stubborn, and you had your fights like any mother and daughter, but there was more love than anything else. And I know she is proud of you, and I know how much she loved you. She loved all of us in her family. My brother Zachary, my father Leonard, my wife Brandy, her great-granddaughters Isabel and Emerson, all the many, many friends that she's made over the years. I know my Nana loved me. Nana always kept a big picture of me and Jesus on the wall. I would joke that I was the most important one, enough to be next to Jesus on her wall, but she would say it was because I needed to be watched over and kept in line more than anyone else. Larry, our whole family wants to thank you for all the joy that you brought into our Nana's life over these last years. I know that you meant so much to her, and it's a lot of what kept her going was having you be part of her life, and we can never repay you for that. We appreciate that so much. You truly made her life so much more special and enjoyable. I miss you, Nana, and I love you very much, and we all miss you, and we take some solace in knowing that you are no longer in pain and you are in peace. And you meant so much to so many people, and you won't be forgotten. And I thank you all for bringing so much joy into her life, because I know how much it meant to her to be at these events with you folks. So, thank you.